Hey everybody, Mark from Northeast Bass Fishing. How you doing? Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. And I want to talk to you tonight about, I've shown you guys the Xstended Life Baits from Bill Alexander and Paul Williams. And I've got 3 rigging options for you for the Apex worm, the Apex stick worm. And I'm going to show you just a couple ways of getting your baits ready to fish and a few ways you can rig them. You guys have seen my other videos, and what I'm going to do when I do the video description, the description in this video, I'm going to put links to my other videos on the Xstended Life Baits, so you can kind of see the different baits and some of the different other rigging videos that I did before. But for you guys who haven't seen them before, the Xstended Life Bait, this is the Apex stickworm, this is going to have that material through it, that meshy material that's going to make this bait a lot tougher. And when you get them in a pack like this, together like this, you're going to separate them. Now, here's a pair of scissors that I got. This is the package. These are these Fiskars. I got these from Amazon. You can get them at Walmart or Target, any place. And these are really for cutting fine material. And they seem to work really well. I've got a pair of the 4-inch, or this is the 5-inch actually. This is the 5-inch. I also got a pair of the 4-inch. This is actually this is the pack for the 5-inch here. This is the pack for the 4-inch. Got these at Walmart the other day. And either one is good. Depends on how big your hands are, whichever ones you want to use. I've been using both of them since I got them. But for that intricate like cutting, these work really well. They're a little better and a little easier to maneuver than your big, the ones we typically have on our boat, for cutting. If I'm just going to use, let's say, here's the 5-inch size. When I have my baits together like this, I'm going to separate them from that material so that I can, fish it the way I want to fish it. Do I want to Texas rig it? Am I going to wacky it? And I'm going to show you another way to do it that's a little different that Bill and Paul called the Xrig. I'm going to show you that tonight too. But that's what your baits are going to look like. That mesh is going to go through them, that material, which is what's going to make them stay on the hook better. So I already started, getting this one ready. So I was cutting up the side here. So I'm just going to slice up along the edge. And these scissors are really sharp, and they really cut well. So now I've got my Apex stickworm, and I've got one side with nothing. You can see how nice that cut is along there, nice and smooth. And if you ever see that you missed a spot, you can always go. But that does a really nice job. Hope you guys can see that, of getting rid of that material along there, so it's nice and smooth. But now I've got this one side that's got all this material on it. Now, how do I want to do it? I already have a few ways already rigged up, but you have to just decide how you want to cut the material, how you want to fish it. Now, if I'm just going to strictly Texas rig this, I'm probably going to cut off all the rest of that extra material. So I'm just going to take my Fiskars and go up along the edge, and these cut so well. You can almost just run it across there and it cuts them, but just go along, cut off any extra. And if you miss a spot like that, sometimes you could even leave it on there. Maybe give it a little different, you're almost like giving it a fin. Just cut along there, get any of that extra if you want it totally smooth. So you're ready to fish it. Put it on the bottom there. There you go. Get that, a little bit of that extra off there. So now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to just Texas rig this. So now I've got my worm ready to go. I want to Texas rig it. The hooks we suggest are these screw type hooks. Now I have done another video where I show you how you can still do with just your regular EWG hook, but these seem to work the best of holding it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw that hook into the top of the Apex. And you'll feel it get in there and get in with that, with the mesh there. It's going to be nice and tight. Once you get that in there, it's going to be nice and tight in there. And then just do your typical Texas rigging. Line it up however you want to go. Go through it. You'll feel it go through that material. You'll feel that pop and go through that material. Boom. And that is not coming out. It's not coming out here. It's not going to come out here. Sink that back. You're ready to Texas rig that. You're ready to just, you can flip this all day. Flip it around docks, flip it around rocks, flip it around wood, grass. whatever weight you want to use on your bait, on your line, depending on what kind of cover you're fishing, you're all set. So Texas rigging it, we suggest you use like any type of screw-on. I've got a few different kinds here. These Owners, these are Stanleys. These are actually frog hooks. Same thing. Owners. This is like a big Beast Coast, or big Beast Coast, Owner Beast, more of a swim bait type. These are any brand that you have that has that 3/0, 4/0, 5/0 even screw type hook. Those are the way to go. You're all ready to fish it. And that's nice and tight. That's not going to tear out of there. You'll be surprised how many fish you can catch before you have to even think of changing baits. There you go. So that's one way to do it, the Texas rig idea. Now, what most people like to do with a stick type bait like this is just throw a Wacky Style. So I'm going to prep another bait. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back of this one, and I'm just going to cut right alongside it. Whoop. So now I've got my smooth side. Now I've got a side with material. Now what I'm going to do is, where that egg sac area is right there, I'm going to leave that with some mesh. So I'm going to cut a straight cut along there, and then cut up the side. It's close up, everybody can see good. Get rid of that. And if I miss any, I'll just go back and straighten it out. Go up along that egg sac area, cut off the rest of that material. And you can make this area where you're going to put your hook through anywhere you want, really. I just kind of always typically do it by the egg sac area. So now I've got a little bit up there. I'm going to straighten that out a little. You can really cut these any way you want. If you want to leave a little extra on there because you'd like to maybe move your hook, you could do it. I tend to leave a bigger spot just so I have more options on where to put my hook through. But there you go. So now I've got a typical stick worm. I've got the apex ready to go. And I have some different hooks now. Where did I put them? I picked out some different hooks. Any ones you guys like to use. I grabbed some of these Gamakatsu split shot hooks. The split shot drop shot hooks, that's a 1/0. If you want like a Gamakatsu finesse wide gap hook, like that. Here's like a drop shot hook from a trocar. Any one you want to use, it's really up to you. I sometimes use these octopus type hooks, these red ones. Sometimes, for demonstration purposes, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you like to use. But what I've done here, let me show you. I've already, I want to hit everything up on the scene. I've already rigged up one of those Gamakatsus on my spinning rod here. So let me show you how I've done this. Now this is something that Bill and Paul recommended to try. Here's just your regular Wacky hook. Take a small bait, a small weight. This, I believe, is like a 16th. You could even do a 30, even lighter. Just a small weight, nothing really big. And put that on there, and then rig up. So I'm going to rig up through where that egg sac is right there. And I'm just going to Wacky Style that. And you can use the kind that have the keeper if you want, if you're throwing around weeds. And I just pop it through that material, and that is not coming off. You're not going to catch one fish and then the bait's going to go flying. That is really tough. Now I've got that wacky worm on there, the way we usually like it, but with that little bit of a weight. Of course, now my weight's all pushed down here into a pile of hooks. With that little bit of a weight there, that will move away from your line. This will kind of almost go its own way, this weight, and this is going to follow behind it, and it'll give you a little more action. Try it out and see the different action you get with just that little bit of weight on there. That little bit of weight in there. And then it'll make it even easier if maybe you've got holes in weeds and you want to just like pitch this in there. That little bit of extra weight will really give this a nice action. And that's not going anywhere. That's nice and tight. You could fish that all day. So that's a Wacky Style doing it. Now the last one I want to show you is what Bill and Paul called the Xrig. Now I've never done this before. I actually have one rigged up already, and I'll kind of show you how to put it together. But there you go. That's what it'll look like in the end. So let me take, I'm going to prepare, actually, let me see. Since I already have this one out and ready to go, I'm just gonna snip off that there and make this my Xrig. So now I've got my Apex stickworm here ready to go. Black blue flake, everybody's favorite color. I'm going to actually trim down a little more of the mesh on there. A few spots I missed. I'm going to straighten out that top. Just make that a little more flat. All right, there we go. So now I've got my worm. Now, what you want to do, if you're going to throw this type of rig, this has a lot of action. It doesn't matter what order you do this in. If you are going to, what we do is add one of those weights, those bullet type weights on the bottom. Now, what I have found is you want to use a thin type. They're almost like those nail type weights. Use a thin type. If you try to use something too bulky, it's gonna rip the plastic. So what you have to do first, snip off that end. I'll probably snip it off until it gets a little meatier, maybe like right there. And then I'm going to take that and insert it. I'm just going to pick, you'll see the line through there where your material goes through to keep your bait nice and tough. I'll pick either the top or the bottom, and I'm going to put this nail weight through there. It'll give me some weight at the end of that bait. I find when I use the ones that are too thick, they tear the bait up too much. So don't use those real thick nail type weights or even Nico type weights. Just that simple nail one, that'll give you some weight on the bottom of that bait. And on the top, you're just going to take, I'll just take one of these red, just for showing you, and I'm going to just put it right through. And you're going to feel it go through that mesh when you pop it through there. So as I pop that through there, boom, you'll hear it, you almost hear it pop, and I'm ready to go. Now when I tie this on and throw it out, as you can imagine, it's going to drift back towards where that weight is. And then you're going to have this open hook area here. It's going to give you a lot of action. So the bait, I would imagine, you can imagine it's going to kind of slide back. You can drop this in holes and weeds, and you'd be surprised with that open hook. It comes through pretty good. Comes through pretty good. Now I'm not going to throw this in massive, like, you know, acres and acres of Lake Champlain grass, you know, probably. But where I've got, you know, scattered grass with holes in it, lots of rocks around it where I can get my baits into, this is definitely a nice way to show them the bait. As you can imagine, this weighted end is going to go down, and you're going to have this slinking around there where that open hook, they're going to chomp it, and it's going to be a nice, and this will not tear out. This is not going anywhere. That is definitely not going anywhere. So that is what Bill and Paul have termed the Xrig. I've never even thrown this yet. They just told me about it not that long ago. But it's definitely a different way to throw your apex worm. And this is with one of those types of weights that has that little ball on it, which I kind of like too, because then you can kind of knock that on the bottom. It almost gives you like a little rattle. I think Lunker City makes these. But I suggest the thin ones, the thin nail weights. Ones that are too thick will definitely mess up your bait. So keep it with these thin type. And if you like the ones with the little ball at the end, so you can imagine that smacking on the rocks, give you a little sound too, almost like a rattle. Another thing you can do, which is, I guess it's kind of another way of doing the whack rip, you could throw it on the flick shake. Just throw it through that wacky part right here. I'm not even gonna, well, what the heck, I'll rig it up for you. Why not? If you can see it only takes a few seconds to get a bait ready to go. And if you get, your baits in the mail and you're gonna go fishing the next day, you could rig them. If you know you're gonna throw them, you could get 4 or 5 set up for wacky rigging, a couple set up for flipping, some set up to try the Xrig, and just be ready to go. You won't even have to do it on the boat. In a couple minutes, you'll have a bunch of baits ready to go. You'll probably only need one because they're not going to tear up on you, but we're fishermen. We always like to have 5 of everything. So I'm just gonna slice this down to the wacky area. And like I said, you don't have to, it's really up to you. Sometimes when I've thrown these, I've even left like little sections there, almost like I said, given it like a little fin, because I'm sure that probably might give it a little subtle action that you're not even expecting. So that little bit of fin there. I don't think that's going to be anything that's going to deter a fish from coming up. So I've got this one ready for wacky rigging, but I could throw a flick shake. Go right through the material. See my hands in the way. Just go right through the material with the hook. And throw your flick shake. You guys who like to throw a flick shake, that'll give you a little weight too. You can do it that same way. That's not coming off there. Catch multiple fish before that bait will tear. Because you're not going through the plastic. You're not going just through the plastic. You're going through the material. The material is strong. It's a lot stronger than plastic. So, another option for you. So I guess I actually gave you 4. I was just thinking about this one today when I was getting ready to do the video. I was like, you could throw that on a flick shake. And I throw the flick shake a lot in the springtime, especially when the fish first start moving up, even before they get on beds. So, another option for you. You could try. They're endless. There's endless things you can do. And the best part of this is these baits are so strong and so tough that you'll catch multiple fish before you're going to have to change up. And for you guys who like to flip a stick bait, the Apex would be great for that. And I'm looking forward to trying this Xrig out, since I haven't done it yet. But there's another one set up, Texas rig. So remember that screw-on hook really works the best. And here's the Xrig with that, just that bullet in there. Now you could leave that out a little if you want to get maybe that ticking action on a rock. Just a slight little tick. Certainly something the fish haven't seen a lot of. Another option for you. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to run those rigging options of the Xstended Life Baits Apex stickworm for you. And, I've got a bunch here that Bill has sent me to show you guys. And I'm sure there'll be more that I can show you as time goes by. But, any type of that finesse hook you like, whatever one you like the best, whatever screw-in type EWG hooks you like, go with them. I'm not going to tell you one is better than the other, whichever one you like, whatever flick shake you like. This is just one that actually has a little weed guard on it. And try this, oops, of course now I'm going to catch everything but what I want. Hey look, it does work. I caught something. Try this when you have it wacky rigged. This is something Bill told me too about trying that Wacky Style, but with that little weight on there. It gives it a nice action, which I haven't tried yet. So try it with that little, and don't go big. Don't go real heavyweight, just something very small. Give you just a little bit of action. And as you can see how that is on there, that is not coming off. That is not coming off. Save your baits. Your baits aren't going to get all torn up. Fish probably all day with one. And that's it. So, any questions on that or those rigging techniques, let me know. I'm going to put all the information again in the description on Bill and Paul's baits, how you can get them. There was a nice article in one of their local newspapers last weekend. I'm going to copy and paste that and put that in the description too. You can check that out, and a link to it online. You can read it. and I'll put their contact information, you know, phone number and everything. You can get an email address. You can get in touch with them and ask them about any of this rigging that I mentioned. Maybe I missed something that they can add to it. But that's it. I think I covered everything. The Fiskars scissors really make it easy to cut, you know, if you want some fine cutting to do. You'll have all these little pieces all over your table like I do, but that means you're going fishing, so that's cool. They just make it easier than, you know, the big bulky scissors. I just see. And I actually was using these 4-inch ones before. They're pretty easy too. They're just a little small for my hands. They're a little bit small for my hands, but they do work pretty good. The 4-inch size. So if you have smaller hands, these work. These are really nice. These 4-inch ones. They're sharp. But these are Fiskars. You can get them anywhere. If you just want to buy them in a store, Walmart's got them. You can get them on Amazon. But this could be part of your Xstended Life Baits kit, prep kit right here. These scissors, along with some nail weights and some finesse hooks. Like I said, any finesse hook you want to use, whatever one you like. I think I have. This is the one I had on. That finesse one I get. So any of those will work. So that's it. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover in that. Like I said, any questions, please reach out. Let me know. And like I said, I'll give you Bill's and Paul's email address. You can contact them. They're the guys who made these things. They could probably tell you a lot more than I can. But I encourage you to check them out. And I'll put links to the other videos I did for Xstended Life Baits and just show you some other of the baits and some of the other rigging videos I did, okay? So I'll see you soon on YouTube, guys. Mark out.